So the whole idea is the throwing against your front side. Okay, so I want to show you something real quick. Watch this video. Slow-mo video of you doing your most aggressive pull down, right? The timing of it is awesome. Your front foot hits, your ball's up and cocked and loaded, right? And then when you throw, watch this leg, the front leg, how strong it is. You create this good angle from your ankle to your knee to your hip, right? See how it kind of stiffens up too as it goes? Right, so now to do that, whenever you're trying to throw the ball as hard as you can or as long as you can, as most efficient as you can, that's like proper patterning of your lower body mechanics, right? So when I first saw you start throwing it, it stuck out to me, which is why I wanted to bring it back in and get some videos of it. So we started throwing something that is other than your hardest or your most aggressive throw, right? A changeup, or even just like your fastballs you're doing it too. Right, so you get into this. Look how much more flexed your front foot is at release, right? See how much further your knee's out over your toe, right? So I do this, and I still do this. It's something that I have to focus on freaking every day. But as you're going to release right here, you're not creating tension with your front leg to be able to rotate again.
Is that on the changeup?
You're on all of them basically.
Okay.
And I would assume when you get off the mound, because I've got one. I mean, you can see it at release right there. That's a changeup, and then one of these last ones is a fastball. But you do the same. I call it just the tail end of it. I guess that's a changeup too. But your fastball, you do the same thing. So you see that angle there? Right at release, boom. And stop that there. Okay, your front leg. How soft it is at your knee.
Yeah.
Okay. And then let's go look at your aggressive pull down. And what that looks like. What that knee looks like. At release. Boom. See the difference?
Yeah.
You know, like the angle is really working up that way. It's because you got to put that foot in the ground to be able to rotate against, to throw it as hard or as efficient or as far, you know, in that instance as you can. So my advice would be to try to create that same pull down feeling where you're like really pulling down aggressively through that tunnel that we talked about to start with, you know? Because essentially when the issue is you're now out of this state where you're saying, in that one, right, we were talking about like, dude, I don't care if it bounces, I don't really care where it goes, just like if it ended up rolling to him because you released it so low, I just want you to be aggressive and giving you your most intense pull down. Just by doing that and saying that you did it right with your front leg, right? But then we get in this realm where you're back in at a closer distance, you're trying not to sail it, you're trying to do something different, like with a changeup with a different grip, and you're getting out of that most efficient pattern for your body, right? Because essentially, even if you threw that changeup with that same fastball grip, that same fastball mentality, you're going to get what you want out of it. We can do different things to kind of slow the pitch down, you know, because obviously you want some pitch separation, but what's going to get a guy on that pitch is arm speed, right? So that it was just the thing within your delivery that stood out the most to me. When you started, it was soft. As you got back, it stiffened up, you know, and then you got all the way out there, and then it was really good on that video that I took. Your timing on that was awesome. Your front foot hit the ground, you got up in this load position, and worked back against your front side like this, instead of being like out over your front side like that, right? Yeah. And it's all just from a mentality, you know, like your approach of what you were trying to do with that pitch, you know. Yeah. So I would venture to guess, you know, you get off the mound, and you do the exact same thing. I had a coach tell me, because I told you this is something that I work on like pretty constantly. It's been something that's been like a bad habit for me, you know, that we coach that into a lot of younger kids by wanting to throw strikes. You kind of get soft, like trying to get soft with your front side, trying to throw more strikes, right? When in reality, your most efficient throws are going to come from so it's basically the opposite of what you're wanting. Yeah. And you can see it on that video, right? Like it's pretty clear whenever you take that. Yeah. So whenever you're getting back in here and you're throwing those, you've got to work through that. If you basically just want to throw the ball the best way that you can and let the grip dictate like what it's going to do. Like, you know how to throw a changeup. Like, you don't have to be like, oh my gosh, like what do I got to do to do this? And even if you were learning a new pitch, your best changeup is going to come from your best delivery, like bottom line, you know. And your best delivery is that good, like working through your lane, working down through the ball, like we were talking about when you're long tossing, and throwing against your front side. Essentially, what that's doing is you're getting your front foot down. It's allowing you to rotate better. If my front foot's down like this, you know, then I've got to like yank and spin out to rotate, right? So as soon as we talked about the ball floating and talking about staying in your lane, that's when your front side firmed up, right? Because that's why essentially you were creating that cut spin on it, is because you were out over your front side, not rotating and having to create that rotation from somewhere else. If you can get into a good timed up sequence where you're behind the baseball all the way through, like that's what's going to create the efficient, strong, you know, like really good carry on the baseball, because you're driving through and using your whole kinetic chain to deliver that blow, you know. So it's just my 2 cents, you know. I think that if you took that mentality and you boxed it up into throwing your changeup would get a lot better just from your approach being right, you know. So what do you got? What do you think?
Yeah, that makes sense. I saw a video the other day, I think on Monday, and it was of me pitching, and my leg was good. So I guess it's just when I throw short.
Yeah, it could have something to do with having turfs on out here.
Yeah.
It could have something to do with like a lower intensity. That's kind of like a bad habit of mine. As my intensity gets a little lower, that's like subconsciously where I try to take it away from. But essentially, when you do that, when we do that, we're creating bad habits with it, right?
Yeah.
So you need to like create an environment where you're hitting all these checkpoints within your delivery and able to lower the intensity, not altering your delivery to do that, right?
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing to do. So how's your arm feel?
Good.
Is it a little sore? A little